Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. And we are here putting on our sleuther caps. We are talking about both of the mysteries that aired in February and on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, or Hallmark Mysteries, I guess now they're going to call it, which is kind of crazy because I was so surprised when they made that announcement because I feel like if anything, they've been moving away from mysteries, not towards it.
Definitely agree with that
Yeah.
because I'm just sitting here like, we're getting mysteries back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm ready for this.
Because I mean, Curious Caterer is practically the only one. I mean, I guess Anna Swenson that we've gotten any repeats from. We've all had all these one-offs, and then we've gotten all these dramas. So I was really surprised when they made that announcement. But there's nothing like Hallmark, but to be completely random.
All year long, they're
Yeah,
random, but we still love
completely.
you.
Yes. Uh, well, we're here to talk about the Gilded Newport Mysteries, Murder at the Breakers, and CrimeTime Freefall. I'm here, and I'm from Critter Grace Wagner. Jasmine's here.
Hey, everybody.
How
Super
have you
excited.
been?
It's been a very long February, but it's been very short at the same time.
I mean, and technically it is a long February because we got 29 days this year.
Happy leap year, everybody.
Yeah,
Happy leap year.
it's very exciting. But yeah, oh, I don't know. How do you feel about Hallmark in 2024? Do you think it's been a decent year or not so good?
I just wish that we got a Hallmark Renaissance happening because we need one. Like we need one. Like I even watch January movies, so I'm like,
I
this is not
know.
how it used to be. Where I'm so
Yeah.
excited for winter movies, where I'm
Yeah.
ready for my cocoa, my coat, ready for to
Yeah.
go to ski lodges, and now I'm just like, no.
We needed Winterfest and we said it many times. We needed it as
Please.
our
I,
it was our rehab from
it,
Christmas and
it
now they've
was
taken it from us.
like we desperately need it. I don't care. Hallmarkies go out there, hashtag it, like bring back Winterfest, please,
I mean,
please.
I was pretty pleased with Jane Austen month. Those were there was one I didn't like, but for the most part, even that one I didn't like was still like I could see the effort and that they were trying. It just wasn't my taste. But yeah, other than so they kind of redeemed themselves quite a bit with Jane Austen month. January was absolutely not good at all, and then both of these mysteries I would say were pretty.
I like one versus the other,
Yeah, I mean,
and
yeah.
yes, that's how I feel. I like one versus the other in a sense. But like I
Yeah.
agree with the Jane Austen. Like right now, I'm working myself backwards to watch all the movies. I'm like, I finally get to sit down and actually watch them. Yes, Miko. Me and Miko been watching them.
Yeah,
So
and we'll have the recap with, or actually, when am I going to air this? We will have had the recap of 3 out of 4 of the Jane Austen movies with Natasha and I. We talked about them and we had a lot of fun. And then the Mahogany cast is going to be talking about Sense Sensibility, so that'll be great.
yes, we have a lot to talk about. I know we all are just watching it finally. We're like, okay, we're just sitting down, we're gonna have this conversation.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Which
good.
I'm
I
definitely
can't
in the
wait.
Hallmark Bridgerton.
Yes, I can't wait to hear what y'all think. But let's dive in. Let's talk about these mysteries. So we have Gilded Newport Mysteries, Murder at the Breakers. And this is director Terry Egram, writers Carrie Ferentz and Elisa Maxwell. And writers Carrie Ferentz and Alyssa Maxwell. And Alyssa, we had on the podcast. We're going to interview her. She's the author of the book. And this is a loose adaptation, but it does have the characters and the setting and other things like that. And it stars Ali Scobie, Danny Griffin, and Nathan Vitti. And it's July 1895, and the New York elite have decamped to Newport, Rhode Island for a summer of balls, garden parties, and yacht races. Covering these events for the women's pages of the Newport Observer is Emma Vanderbilt Cross, a fearless 21-year-old writer with family ties to the wealthy Vanderbilt family. So overall, what do you think of this one?
This one was it was okay. It was
Yeah.
okay. Like literally, like Nathan kept my attention the whole time. Thank you, Nathan, because I don't know what would have happened.
Love him. He's
Like,
so good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, how did you not? Like, I'm sitting here like,
But they
how?
didn't use him very much. He was
They
like always just
didn't.
kind of looming around. And I'm like, why aren't you using him? Like, what is going on?
Like, he should have been a detective. I'm
I
just
thought
saying.
that always he can end up actually being the murderer because he was just always kind of there. And a lot of times it's that person who's just always kind of there that ends
Yeah.
up being surprised the murderer. But thankfully he was not.
He was not. Even the
But
plot twist, I was like, I was not expecting that part.
yeah, I agree. I mean, this was okay. It was fine. But I always feel I always feel a little bit bad being too tough on the acting. I get it. I know these movies are made fast. I know that it's, but I didn't think that Allie was very good. I thought that she was really flat and unemotive. And like it just doesn't make sense for a woman like her, a young woman, for her to come across a dead body with blood seeping out, from the head and just be like, oh, like like she had such minimal reaction and uh, that's just not how you would react. And then she's just like talking about it as if it's just like, oh, that was an interesting way to end the evening. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Like,
we just
are
found
you a
that body.
sociopath? Like, it makes you wonder about her character because any normal human, like if you or I, like we're at a party and it was like, oh, there's a dead person, like you would scream, you would have
Yeah,
a response.
yeah. I would scream and then be like, maybe that one person like, I'd be curious, but maybe she'd hang out with her friend who's the coroner a whole lot. I'm like, are you sure you should be working with the coroner's office, like writing down this information? Because you are so calm and collected, like,
Yeah.
oh,
like
yeah,
like maybe the next day or even later that night you might start to be like, well, that was weird and that was a strange thing that happened. And but not your initial like, I'm stumbling upon this person. There's
yeah.
no way.
Yeah, I agree with you about the acting as well. Like they felt like they kept going in and out of like um the language from like 2024 back into like 1800s. Like, yeah, I could tell the difference. Like it was like not all the way there per se. Like one person was there was this Nathan. Like he's the one who
Yeah.
held it down for us. I'm like, thank you for the language.
And she's a writer, so you can say, okay, like for a newspaper reporter. And so you can think, okay, she would be a little bit more serious, but it was just so flat. I wrote down, like, why doesn't she seem upset? She just found a dead body.
Hmm.
Like,
Especially back then with women writers, and they
yeah,
were very rare, especially if they did their own newspaper articles. But
yeah,
the fact that this was, nonchalant, like we get it from like, from that time period. Like I feel like it a bit more serious.
yeah.
Like,
So then we have this her brother is attacked and there's these railroad plans. And I was a little bit unclear about why these railroad plans were so key. Like nobody else knows how they're going to build the railroad or what they're going to do, and like really worth killing people over and stuff. Like it was just always just kind of talk like the plans, and it was a little vague kind of why nobody else had this information and why we needed these plans so much.
I feel as though they lost a lot of content that they could have added. 'Cause I know they added some
Yeah,
Jimmy Anthony in there though, but I feel as though they should have added a little more content to the railroad because the railroad, the steel, those were key players in that time period, especially
yeah,
with Rockefeller and everybody, monopolizing things. That could have been brought up like the monopoly of it all. Like these plans are very important because of such as these figures are moving
yeah.
pieces. That should have been addressed in that, because
Yeah. And so then this Uncle Cornelius, because she's a Vanderbilt. It's very exciting. Yeah, she's a Vanderbilt, but she's like a poor Vanderbilt. She's like at the bottom of the food chain. Vanderbilts.
okay.
Yes. And so her uncle is like, where are the plans? You give those plans back to me now. And they were supposed to be returned into the safe, and Goddard didn't return them to the safe. Who stole the plans? And it's very his brother's like, what? We get scenes like pretty much Nathan Fitte's role in this movie was to be interrupted. Like he would like
That's
start to
basically
dance with
what
her,
it was.
interrupt, start to go up towards her, you get interrupted. Like,
I swear, I feel like their MQ was more better than like the detective one, even though the detective and her was vibing. But I'm
yeah.
just like, I was just like, every time make his way over to her, it was just like got cut off. I was like, dang it.
Yeah, let the man dance with us once. Yeah. And so then her brother gets arrested,
Mhm.
and that she's really obviously upset with and concerned. And so she starts looking into it, but her boss doesn't like it. Says stay away from scandal if you want to keep your employment.
Right? And then he's writing the article about what happened, about her brother, and like, and also seeing like the power in that time period, like how women didn't have any, rights in that sense. I'm like you are fortunate, better off, even though you're like the low Vanderbilt. Like you're at least better
Yeah.
off than other women in the time period.
It's
A
true
little
because
bit.
I mean they couldn't own property, they couldn't uh have they could go to college and they could do there were some things that they could do at this time, but most women were expected to gain it to get married and to have a family and the jobs that were available to women. I mean, it was starting to change because the Gilded Age, you're talking like industrialization and kind of is happening, and so things are starting to change. But still, it's not like it's a Regency, or something like that. But still, uh, you would still a lot of women would just see it as teaching, nursing, uh, being a governess, those kinds of jobs as though those were their only options, especially for somebody in like the higher class, that wasn't going to be like working in a factory or something like that. But anyway, yeah, so stay as far away from scandal. I would think that this muckraker newspaper guy would kind of want the scandal. Oh,
That
you're a
part.
Vanderbilt? You've got inside access. Look into it. But no, he doesn't.
But also they wanted to silence women's like voice. Even like she could have been anonymous being the
Mm-hmm.
witness, but everybody would have known it's like, but
Or a
she fucking lost.
pseudonym. Could have been a pseudonym.
Something.
Yeah. So her brother, his name is Brady, and that did seem like a very modern name for this
Like,
time period. The fact that we had a Derek, a Brady, an Emma, a Jesse, like all these names sounded very, very modern to
right.
me.
They're like I said, they were mixing a little bit of 2024 with this time period. You hear it in their voices, hear it in like their dialogue. I'm like, am I
Yeah.
watching 18 like a 18th
Yeah.
century piece, or am I watching 2024 like regular Hallmark movie as a
Yeah,
play?
and so we start to get some red herrings and some clues and stuff. And she is
Yes.
looking at her brother, and he has gold specks in his hair, and it's messy and everything, and then and he'll bump on his head, so he knows he's been hit, by something. And so she's looking into it, and this guy has a gold plated
Okay.
polo
Oh
mallet.
yeah. Yeah.
So it's definitely very, very suspicious. Like if his polo mallet is literally flaking off gold, this guy is really rich.
Spreading the gold around everywhere.
Yeah. I don't know why he needs these plans so much because he is very, very rich. I think his name was Anson.
Yeah, I think it was too.
Hmm. Yeah. And she thinks that let me try to put all these. There's a lot going on here, of course. So
Yeah, this
sometimes
is
it's a little,
Clue. This is
but
definitely a Clue mystery.
and then she also starts to notice this that she has this friend named Adelaide, And Adelaide is starting to look a little bit suspicious too. And she has this dress that has this tear, and she saw some of the fabric from the dress in the room, and also these gold chains that were there. And so that's also another kind of clue going on, because there were a lot of people at this party, so that makes it complicated at this ball. And but she's very clever about how she gets like the impression on the pole of the polo mallet to try to figure out who who did it, and if it's the same one.
Mhm.
And and this is her cousin, the Anson guy's the cousin, says, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. And then we find out that Derek, our Nathan Vitti character, he is actually a reporter undercover.
Dun dun dun.
That he's the heir to the Boston newspaper publishing family or whatever. And one of the publishers has invested in the railroad. So he like sent him up to like investigate. So that's kind of his backstory. And because she continues to look into it because she wants to free her brother, till I find a way to free Brady, I can't even think about my future.
Okay, that's how she lost her job.
And then she loses her job. She loses her job. And so then this Derek, what did you think of Derek?
Derek, he needed
I mean,
more.
not
He needed
Derek.
more screen. Oh.
Not Derek.
The detective.
Yes, what was his name?
He's pretty smooth. Like they like, over here had kept
Jesse.
like I think it was Jesse like having kind of like dinner and everything. I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah,
sitting here
he
like
moves forward real quick.
real quick. I'm sitting here like they even had a kiss. I think too. Like
They get close.
they do. Like
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like how like are y'all gonna get together? Because you can't be stringing Derek along like this. Like it was just so much. They had
Yeah.
great chemistry as detectiveness,
Mm-hmm.
but we know Adeline wants more.
Jesse. I don't buy him as a Jesse.
Yeah, he did like some more like maybe like a Luke or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know with these characters' names, but he didn't really justice.
Yeah. I agree. But they had decent chemistry. I guess if I had felt a little, just a little bit more charisma from her as an actress, I think that it was but he was fine. I liked him well enough. It was Danny Griffin was the actor's name.
Today's episode of the podcast is sponsored by W Rated, the podcast where we willingly watch the world's worst rated movies. Join me, Daisy,
and me, Claire, as we break down the IMDb Bottom 100, choosing a different film from the list every episode.
We take a deep dive into the plot, production, release, and reviews, usually with a special guest, to uncover if these films are truly as bad as everyone says they are.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple, Good Pods, and anywhere else you find your podcasts.
Relationship between Adelaide and this guy Mason and this Goddard guy, and they were fighting over the plans of what they're going to do, and Adelaide is having an affair.
Yeah.
So bad. And then she ends up killing her husband.
Sure enough,
Rupert.
because yeah,
And she
even with the same, not with the same weapon, but still kind of like the same weapon.
Yeah. And she tries to claim, it was self-defense. But at this point, she's getting more and more suspicious by the minute of her friend Adelaide. Emma is. And so Emma has this confrontation with Adelaide, and she ends up and it was kind of funny. You could tell that they kept reusing the same rooms in this house, but putting up different like art and stuff. It was kind of funny. To make it look like you could feel the budget sometimes. They tried their hardest. I give them full credit.
Yeah,
but she finds the plans and they're just like sitting out there. Like if they were worth literally killing multiple people, like she just finds the plans and then Adelaide storms in and holds a gun on her. Yeah, I just asked you to keep my secret and you couldn't do it.
I was like, what type of friendship is this?
Yeah. And we see that she's wearing the same dress that was torn and that had the gold chains and everything like that. So, and that the gold dust was actually from Rupert's from her husband's cane, not from the polo mallet.
Exactly, because remember whatchamacallit, he had a little sketch on the little paper. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Together. Okay.
Yep. And so then they have like your classic sort of monologuing situation, and then Jesse and Derek find them, and then Jesse. So then Jesse finds them, and they arrest Adelaide for Goddard and Houstock, and then they let Brady free. You're free to go. So,
right, because Brady is not in his time period.
I mean, even though the name, I did like that actor though. He was
I liked
cute.
the actor for sure. It was just the name part.
Yeah. James Drew Dean played Brady. I liked him. He was cute. I want
to see him more movies. I want to see him more.
So then she gets her job back. But she must refrain from police matters. So that's not going to happen.
Lies. They're not. Yeah. But then guess she shows back up.
And Derek says, if I were to get married, it'd be to someone far more interesting than an heiress.
Yes, independent.
It's not independence that makes you happy. It's what you choose to do with that independence.
Derek has a way with words.
Fair enough.
He stole my heart.
Yeah, I think we're team Derek.
Team Derek.
Yeah.
We said it here. Now.
Team Derek. Now. Jesse is perfectly fine, but he felt kind of like a low rent Trevor Donovan to me. Like,
he just felt he was just there just because he was there. Like he's just part of the moving pieces.
Like we couldn't get Trevor Donovan, so we got this guy.
Yeah, because they didn't have a good meet cute like compared to how Derek.
It's true. He's just kind of at the party.
Yeah,
that's true. This one I do think that they did a decent enough job with the costumes and the hair. Her hair was, I mean, it was better than One Calls the Heart. Her hair was up the entire time.
Right. At least her hair was down. I was like, you have nice, beautiful hair when it's down. I'm like, it's pretty cool.
Because women did not wear their hair down in that time period. Ever. I mean,
pinned up.
Yeah, unless you were in your room, you had your hair up. And or if you were a lady of the night, like then you'd wear your hair down, but that's not it. And so they did get that right, which I appreciate. So I mean, I would give this one 3 out of 5 crowns.
Yeah, I'm thinking of 3 as well.
I wish they had a stronger lead. Like if this was Amy Teagarden, it would have been way better.
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry. I always feel bad. I know they're trying their hardest, but that's just how I felt. So, okay. So then we have CrimeTime Freefall. And this was directed by Stacey Harding, written by Arthur Vandelay, and it stars Luke McFarlane and Lindy Greenwood. And it's crime series actress Haley Warner retires to a small town where she encounters her first real case. Using her TV crime knowledge, she teams up with Detective Sean Caden to solve the case, starring Lindy Greenwood and Luke McFarlane. I already said that. Okay, so you like this one. You're a fan.
Yes, actually, I like this one better than the first one.
Yeah.
Mind you, I almost gave up the first maybe 10 minutes of this movie, kid you not, because how they made her character so like Hollywood ditz in a way. I'm sitting here like, come on, come on. And I like got into it more. I'm like, no, like this has promise. Like this,
Yeah.
I can see this.
I know. I saw a lot of people online that were like, she was too much of a diva. She was unlikable. She was, and fair enough. Like, but
Hollywood
I
culture.
I felt like she was pretty funny in it. Like I was laughing a lot. And so I
Yes.
didn't really mind that she was a little bit of a diva because I don't know. I just
Stacey?
really enjoy Lindy, and I think she was able to kind of sell it. And by the end, I was like, oh, I kind of like, and I thought the banter was really strong.
Yes.
And especially between the two of them, is Arthur Vandelay, the writer. I thought he did a very good job. The back and forth, bang, 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 bang between them was really fun.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. And also the fact that how she's literally living out her TV show in real life in a small town.
Yeah.
They try to follow these clues. There was like, you know who I am, trying to be ready for her, like her signature. I'm like,
Yeah. Well, and I do think it kind of warmed her a little bit, the fact that she is a mother.
mhm.
I don't know how good a mother she is.
I don't know either. But the kids are okay. They're fed.
She seems to be under the what was that independence quote that we just had?
Yes, we just
The it's not independence that makes you happy, it's what you choose to do with that independence. That
Mhm.
seems to be her parenting philosophy.
right with her license plate saying crime time. Like her
Yeah.
theme song is on her cell phone as her ringtone, y'all. Like I was here for like she's ready for the camera. Every time she walks out the door, and like you get to see the transformation from her being a diva.
Yeah.
And like, where's Stacy? Like, and her daughter's like, you don't have an assistant anymore, mom. You have
Right. I mean, it's got to be hard when you're an actor because you get in these routines where you're excited to have any gig because most gigs are at the longest, a couple of months. And, of these TV movies, you're talking 15 days is usually what you get. And so you're used to just sort of cycling. But then when you get one of these roles in one of these shows, they go on for a long time. They all of a sudden you're now a 9-to-5er. It's like a different. So it's got to be kind of jarring to all of a sudden be thrust back into the freelance world and back into. And I know for me, like when I like sometimes I substitute teach and do different things, and when I'm thrust back into like a 9-to-5er job, like sometimes I'm judging debate, things like that. It is kind of exhausting, even though I'm not really even doing that much. It's just like such a different thing than what I'm usually doing that I don't know if that makes sense, but I can see why it would be kind of not only to lose your income and lose your, the show that you love, but literally just like your whole way of life.
no, I definitely agree with that. And like she's trying to adjust, like being back home and like seeing her mom and trying to, adjust to this like what she's starting to get. Like I put my trophy back together. I did it. Like she's conquering these little feet one by one until she has someone hanging in her tree.
Yeah. Yeah. Her daughter is like an artist. And so she's trying to kind of encourage her, and her son is
An influencer.
Yeah, he's kind of an influencer, but they were great kids. I liked them both.
They were. They had great chemistry, and like they were there for like the jokes and like these different things. I'm like, I'm here for this.
Yeah. And maybe she's not the most involved parent, but I always say, I mean, I'm not a parent, so what do I know? But it seems like to me that you shouldn't create problems that don't exist. Like my parents, we never had a curfew because we never stayed out late. So why have a curfew? Like if it's not a problem, there's no reason to create problems. And I think that maybe that's her philosophy. It's like, just let
There
my
we go.
kids do their thing, and when a problem it comes, then we'll go for it. So her name is Hadley, which I've never heard that as a first name. Hadley.
I feel like I have, but it's like very rare.
Yeah. So they're moving to Colorado. Her grandmother, right? Or mother.
Her mother.
Her
That's
mother.
her mother.
So her mother lives there, and she's going back home. And at the beginning, she tells the kids, wherever we are is home. That was very sweet.
Yeah.
And so then Luke McFarlane, he's the detective. And he's kind of your hard-nosed, serious, stay out of my way.
Small town cop detective.
Did you know about this screaming goats thing?
Dude, I did not know about this screaming goat thing at all. I sat here the first night with them too. Like, I would have ran into the room too, like standing there. Like, I never knew. Like, I heard goats, but I never heard them scream.
I mean, I guess in Thor: Love and Thunder, there's these screaming goats, but I didn't realize that was like all goats. I didn't realize that was like a thing. I thought it was just in, I don't know what I thought.
You know what, y'all? We learn something new every day.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the new version of rooster. Instead of rooster, you got
that does make sense.
Screaming
like,
goats.
Can you do it in the morning, not in the middle of the night when I'm trying to go to sleep?
So then they find this man is in this died in this skydiving accident, and that was pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I'm like sitting here like she's conquering the world. Like, I did this, I did that. Racing up the day, all of a sudden walking into her backyard, she's like, what in the and she got into her detective mode of her TV show. Like, she just I was like sitting here like, okay, she's ready.
Yeah. I mean, and she had like a somewhat reasonable reaction as opposed to Emma.
The last movie.
Yeah, which was just completely flat. Like, she was like a little bit upset, but it's also just wasn't as like bloody.
Yeah, it wasn't as bloody.
Kind of and the way they did it. So she's kind of starts looking into things, and the wife of the man who died asks her for help. And she's like, okay, you can use the help. And so she's interviewing people. We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies. She's
talking to him. And so she stages this whole thing that she's going to go skydiving because that's who runs the skydiving thing. And it would have been, I think, kind of funny if she'd actually gone skydiving.
I know. I was waiting for that. I thought she was going to do it for real. And they're like, whoa, never again.
Yeah. Would you go skydiving if you got the chance?
No. I'm scared.
Me
well,
too.
no, because like I always hear these crazy like freak accident stories, especially like up north in like Lodi area.
Yeah.
It happens like every other year. I'm like, yeah, no.
I mean, it's pretty safe, especially I think when you are just going as basically a passenger, like you have the trained person who's you're hooked to. Like, it's pretty safe, but I just don't like that feeling of like dropping. Like, even things like Splash Mountain at Disney World,
ooh, that drop every time.
Terror, not for me.
Yeah, he has some prayer. Even like at the ferry, go all the way to the top, and then you're waiting. Like, are they gonna drop it? Drop it, and boom.
No, thank you. So it's not for me. But my brother-in-law has been. I think my sister might even have gone. I can't remember. But yeah, I know a bunch of people who've done it. So I just liked Lindy. Yeah, she was a diva, but I thought she was funny.
No, and she was like literally living out her character on like from like these stages to in real life, and it reminds
Mhm.
me of I don't know. I'm not, what I call it. It's like a syndrome though. But I was watching different TV shows where the actors or actresses who lived on TV shows for series for so long that they
Oh
actually
yeah.
live it in real life. So
Yeah.
this is what's her moment's happening.
And she kind of knew that it was ridiculous. Like she knew that she
Yeah,
was being sort of silly. And I don't know. There was just I
she has
thought she
something to
was very
do.
charming. I'm like, way to go. I'm glad they hired her for this role because I
Yeah,
really enjoy her. She's looking into this more. There's this neighbor who's kind of weird. That was a red herring, who's like
yeah.
kind of like butting in. There's like a super fan who's like making her cocktails and stuff. I was like, is that
Dude, he was
guy?
like the realtor, the cop, the bartender. I'm
They're
like,
making her like matcha martinis or whatever. And
I'm surprised she didn't hire him to be her assistant.
yeah,
This is
I could
going.
see that coming. I could see that
Ooh,
coming. But I thought, oh, is he gonna be the actual murderer? Because that's the kind of person who usually is the murderer, is somebody like that that's like been in the movie quite a bit, but obviously like the prime suspects at the very beginning are never the actual murderers. It's always,
right?
it's never and yeah, you've got this neighbor who's like playing banjo and being kind of nosy and looking at her and doesn't like what she's doing. And then we have there's this paparazzi guy
Oh
that
yeah. From the beginning
that's
of
like following her. And so that's another red herring that you have. His name's Lloyd, the paparazzi guy.
sent
Um
by her agent, who's like getting her to write a memoir. And I'm sitting here like, and then she's
yeah.
telling him like what's happening. Like, I found a dead body and this. Like, no, write that. Like, do that. I'm like, is this gonna turn to like a Jessica Fletcher situation, which I'm
Yeah.
down for?
Right. Yeah, and then so then they keep butting heads, her and Luke, and then the uh this neighbor says that he was trying to shoot this cougar, and he ends up hitting this young the he was the one who killed the boy, and he claims, and so you've got the neighbor getting arrested, and Luke says that you coming in here to this case is close to an interference charge. I could charge you. But then there's that scene where they're dancing. That was kind of cute.
I know, right? They're over here like really in the moment of like investigation moments. Like, don't like try to like, let no one see like they really talk about this case, but at the same time
Yeah.
flirting. Even the, like the cop friend was like, yeah, y'all like each other. Like,
Which for this one, I would be perfectly fine if they were just friends. Especially because she has kids, and I don't know, like I don't really need them to couple up, but I'm always fine if they do. I love Luke and Lindy. So, then there was also this guy at the diner that
yes,
was a suspect, and
I
he's
thought
very
he was the
angry and
killer.
very like, yeah. And then the matcha guy gets all like pissy at her, gets all upset, that and then that's when she gets attacked. And
Yeah,
then we find out who is the real, killer and everything. And
that
it's this
threw me. It
security
was the
guy.
quiet one that fool you. It
Yeah.
was always the quiet ones. I never thought.
Yeah.
Even when he said like, I'm lactose intolerant, I was like,
Yeah.
don't do it in the bro. But no, like that was crazy. Even
Yeah.
trivia night was hilarious too.
Yeah. That was good. And that guy, the murderer, I forget his name. He's
What
been
was
in
his?
a bunch of these Hallmark movies.
I know. I can't think of
Um,
the movies he's been in.
let's see. Oh, David Lewis is his name.
Okay.
And yeah, he's really good. I like him a lot. He makes for a good murderer. And I did think it was really funny when when Luke comes up and he's like, drop it or I drop you. You got the crime, I've got the time, which is the line from her show. And she's like, did
I
you
was
just
like,
quote my show?
yes, I need this, yeah, because I feel like they could be this dynamic duel that is needed. And I feel as though I wish at the end of the movie that this case was turned into a book where she wrote the book because she's writing a memoir, but I'm writing about you know, my crime time version, but in a small town. I could see that, and I'm kind of invested in a part 2, just because.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Well, so then her agent calls. How soon can you get to LA?
Yes, I'm like, don't take her away from us.
There are tons and tons and tons of actors who do projects but then live away from LA that don't live in LA.
That,
like Harrison Ford, for instance, he lives in Wyoming, I think, pretty sure, and has like a whole ranch and everything like that, and you know, he still does projects. It's probably admittedly easier to work in movies and do that than to work in television. You probably, if you had a long running television series, you probably would want to be in Los Angeles, but they could make it work.
Yeah, because like,
just have like a little apartment there that you could stay at, and especially because she has her mom in Colorado who could watch the kids.
True.
It's not like she's an over-involved parent anyway. So again, this dynamic that Hallmark always tries to get you, that you have to pick between country and city, is not a reality. Most people
they
people have some blend of both.
They do.
Yeah.
But like I said, I really enjoyed this mystery where I'm like invested, like I want this. I don't know why, but I feel as though I want this to be like more of like a 30-minute or an hour show. Like I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see this being that show for 30 minutes to an hour, me tuning in to
like a serial
movie mysteries.
Yeah.
Yes. And I will sit here watch like the transition in them coming to the town, how they solve the mystery. I'm down for this.
I can see that too. I can see it too, like an NCIS kind of type of length of show, you know, kind of thing. Yeah, I could see that. And because they were really fun. And you know, is it a real cop, a new love? What's going on?
I'm ready for her to solve the next like mystery. I'm ready to see if I'm gonna have it at the kid's school.
Yeah.
I'm saying like,
and then she's like, I do have some notes to him. That was funny.
And no. Also at the end, I'm gonna need that badge. She's like, why? I'm like, you can't do that because you're impersonating an officer. You get arrested for that. Yeah. Please don't do that in real life, y'all.
Yeah. So this one, it was pretty decent. It really was pretty decent. I'd watch it. I'd watch more. So
definitely.
Yeah. So I'd probably give this one like a 3.75.
Okay. I had a 3.9 on that.
Okay. Perfect.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So let us know what you think of these two mysteries. Where do you stand on them? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. And we have interviewed Lindy before. So if you missed that, definitely check out that interview from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because she did the Holiday Heritage, and she was in another recent movie with Paul Campbell as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so let us know what you think of these mysteries, and if you would be invested, which one would you want to see more of? We'd love to hear in the comment section or on Twitter. And Jazzman, how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Shreem16, SHREEM16.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. Would really appreciate that. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so take a look at that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.